Welcome to Myth Represented, where everything's sacred, where nothing's sacred.
Quick disclaimer, we are not looking to promote or discredit any particular set of beliefs, only to amuse and inform. Okay, so this is the first of Myth Represented, explaining various bits of mythology. And this time we are starting with the Greek. You're the expert, so this will be very much a lot of you, with me just chiming in periodically with what may or may not be accurate information, but a lot of questions.
We try to be accurate. We attempted research.
One big thing with Greek mythology, we are also covering Roman mythology simultaneously, because effectively Rome, being like the Borg, just sort of would go around assimilating everything, and they assimilated all the Greek mythology and pretty much just rebranded everything, making their own dollar store knockoffs of everybody.
We're talking lazy, and yeah, the Greek myths came from Toys R Us. The Romans were that Dollar General knockoff version your grandma gets you with good intentions, but it's
I
not
got you
same.
that man spider figure you like so much.
What it comes down to is we'll see a lot of the mythologies we talk about. Everybody steals/borrows from one another of their myths. The Romans, it's just blatant and lazy plagiarism.
Like, Poseidon, Neptune...
Zeus to Jupiter, Aphrodite to Venus. Some of them at least tried.
And in Heracles to Hercules.
Yeah.
The boardroom was late for lunch.
Yeah.
They had a little too much blow that day, and let's just rearrange a couple letters, and...
That was at closing time. That was like right around 5. You know, we've got to go. Heracles, he needs a cool name. No, Hercules, that sounds fine.
Good.
Close enough.
All right, that's it. Let's wrap it up. Head home. I've got a football game to catch.
Let's start off with, I guess, nothing. There's nothing. Most of our myths, there will be nothing to start with. And out of this nothingness pops some people. The ones we're starting out with are some of the primal gods, I guess you could say. Again, we'll see that in other myths, that beings that just come out. They're very broad concepts, very powerful, and then they just kind of disappear, as they're not all that entertaining, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen them listed as the primordials, at least according to Wikipedia, which is where I gain much of my knowledge of the world.
Yeah, I think we'll stick with, like, the first generations. We'll call them the primordials, just because it kind of sounds pretty badass, too.
Mm-hmm.
The two that we're going to be talking about the most here would be, well, the first one, Gaia, the Earth. She, kind of, has a child, and child becomes a protector/lover. This is going to happen a lot.
It seems like a lot of the early family trees were a bit pretzel-like at the trunk, and then sort of branch out from there and often grow back into themselves.
For the ancient Greek deities, their family reunions were also a speed dating arena. It's just
lovely.
Yeah. So you've got Gaia and Uranus, not Uranus.
Yes, that was a terrible pronunciation. I do believe, from what I've researched, the original Greek may have been Uranus, but we're going to go with Uranus. That's pretty much the accepted pronunciation these days. Oh, and incidentally, Gaia, this is being recorded on Earth Day, so it is Gaia's birthday, I guess.
Anyway.
This is when we celebrate when the Earth was made?
Let's do that. I like it.
Alright, there we go.
And we'll talk about this poor woman's horrible, horrible past. Which starts pretty much right here. She is the Earth. Uranus is the sky. He, lays over her, protects her. Now, he lays over her. Things happen. Again, here's where the family tree starts to get kind of wonky, because he's laying over top of her. What do two people do when they're laying on one another?
You're already in the right position?
Exactly. So, next thing you know, she's now having Uranus as kids. Now, here's the problem. The kids she pops out, the first would be, I believe, the Cyclops, those big one-eyed giants, and the, good lord, the pronunciation, I believe the Hectosuries.
We'll go with that.
100-handed ones. She thinks this is great. These are her first children. You know, she's a great mother. She's loving. Uranus, not exactly father of the year. He's looking at these things going, all right, one eye, 100 hands. I was thinking maybe my kids would have more eyes / less hands. He's not real fond of them. So, you know, this is where we start to realize what a just outstanding gentleman he is. He goes, clearly these things aren't right. Let's put them back in. They're not done cooking yet.
Just like any oven.
Yes. And there's, you know, he puts them, wants to banish them back from whence they came. He throws them into the earth. There's some poetic ways of doing it, saying it, but really he just wants to shove them back in her. So, A, he doesn't have to see them again, and I guess maybe hoping they'll come out slightly more...
Just horribly unbirthing all of his own children.
Yes.
Good lord.
Now, she also has some other children, slightly more normal looking. The Titans. The Titans. Where do we even start? Let's talk about douchebags. There's the Titans. Well, Gaia decides she's not real thrilled with Uranus. He just jammed her firstborn children back up inside her. So Gaia goes, clearly, we need to do something, teach him a lesson. So, she talks to her kids, finds Kronos. Kronos is the kind of leader of his brothers and sisters. He's the strongest, most ambitious, most courageous of them all. So, Gaia decides, why don't you have a sickle? I believe a flint sickle. Take this, go chop your dad's nuts off, because that'll learn him. Kronos, being the good son that he is, goes, okay. So, in fact, chops off his father's balls, and that's pretty much the last of, I shouldn't say the last of Uranus, but he's no longer really relevant. He was the baby daddy, gave what he needed to make the Titans, and provoked Gaia in such a way that leads to other stories later. Now, without the balls, he's got the walk of shame back into pretty much nowhere land, and that's really, we don't deal with him a whole lot after that. Now, problem is, this reoccurring theme, this prophecy. Kronos decides, great, Dad's gone, I'm going to take his place. He's the biggest, he's the baddest, great. And for a while, it was said that he actually led the Golden Age. People didn't want or need anything. Everything was provided. Everybody was great, hunky-dory, happy, healthy. But at one point, I guess there was a downward spiral of some sort. He kind of went nuts because of a prophecy. He found out that his children, like he got rid of his father, his children were going to overthrow him. So, you know, he hooks up with his sister Rhea, because you just bang your relatives in these days.
Once again, not a lot of choices early in the family tree.
Yeah. And, so him and Rhea hook up. She has some kids. At least these look fairly normal, for God's sakes. And he decides, well, crap. They're going to overthrow me. Now, how could I fix this? I could maybe teach my kids, like, values and morals and be a good parent, be a father figure to these children so they won't want to chop off my nuts, or worse. Or I could eat them.
That seems the most rational of decisions. And not really chewing them either, just kind of like oysters on a half shell, sucking them right down whole, right?
Yep, jaw unhinged, eat all children. And that's about it. Now, Rhea, at least, she comes up with an idea. She's, obviously at this point, she's aware that she has married a freaking moron. So she decides, oh crap, my babies are disappearing fast. I gotta do something. There's one left. He's slowly walking over. She decides, I'm gonna switch it out. He's dumb. He ain't gonna notice. So she whisks away the last baby left and replaces it with
something that looks like a baby?
Mm-hmm.
Something, does it, like, feel like a baby, sound like a baby? Is it all in every way, shape, and form baby-like?
Yep. It's a rock.
Oh, I've fallen for that one too many times.
Yes, indeedy. The current ruler of pretty much the universe is so bright, he eats a freaking rock. Now, mind you, I shouldn't harp too bad. The rock was swaddled in baby clothes.
Yeah, so, I mean, that would make it relatively identical in every way, shape, or form to a baby.
Now, again, he is apparently just gulping them down, but he falls for it. Baby. Kind of tasted dirty and was a little extra crunchy, but I'm sure it was a baby. And Maria's going, fell for it. Great. So, she has this baby taken to an island, I believe, where was that island? To be raised, this child was raised by nymphs. Until... Ada. We'll go with that. So, this baby, as you find out, is, of course, Zeus. Nymphs, they raise him to early adulthood, where they're pretty much prepping him. He now knows that he's going to have to go get his sisters and brothers back. So, remember those kids that they had before, the Cyclops and the Hecatories? Yeah. Zeus decides he needs backup. So he gets these kids, goes, hey, you were locked up. I do believe I should even say, Kronos unlocked his brothers and sisters, the Hecatories and Cyclopses, to help go after Uranus. And then pretty much the moment they helped him out, and he's like, hey, thanks for the help, guys. And they're like, yay, we're free. He's like, nope, you're still our ugly siblings, and you're going back in the hole. And threw him back in. So now Zeus kind of gets it back out. He goes, all right, let's try this one more time.
I'm sure they're just itching for revenge at that point.
Yeah, against pretty much everyone. So Zeus goes in, till it's all said and done, gets his brothers and sisters back out. Because, thank goodness, Kronos doesn't fucking chew. So they come out whole. So you've got all his brothers and sisters now. And, well, there's also Aphrodite, who fell out of Uranus's nuts when they hit the water.
Yes, I believe the exact words were, his testicles, when they were cut off, fell into the ocean and created foam. Lots and lots of nut foam.
Yeah, she popped out a nut foam. So much nut foam.
And if you ever see foam on the beach, kids, yeah, you know what that is.
Pretty lady might pop out of a seashell. Science. Greek. Anyway, so, overthrows Kronos. Now you've got that big old happy family.
You know what I want to know? Whatever happened to that rock? Because wasn't that rock freed? Oh, yeah. The stone was regurgitated first. This came to be at Parnassus eventually. It was assigned to mortal men, the Omphalos. Apparently the oracle used this to commune with the gods.
So we've got, yay, we've got Uranus is gone because he was a dick. And now Kronos, he was a dick, now he's gone too. And you've got Zeus and his happy little family. They're up on Olympus getting settled in. Olympus being the home of the gods now. Great. Well, not so much. Because every day is a freaking train wreck for these people. Or gods, shall we say. We've dealt with Uranus, we've dealt with Kronos. Now, here's the thing. Apparently, they shoved Uranus, or the Cyclops and the Hecatories back again.
They just can't catch a break.
No. And neither can Gaia, because she's the one birthing and debirthing and unbirthing and birthing these things over and over again. So I can kind of see why she's slightly pissed. She decides that, alright, these gods, I'm going to send them another challenge. And when I say sends them another challenge, I'm not sure who the baby daddy is on this one. Maury Povich would have been in business for a long time. Just every week. Who's your baby daddy? Up on Olympus. But out of kind of nowhere, Gaia gives birth to this thing. This horrible, awful, horrendous, makes Satan look like a kitten, Typhoon. To the point where Typhoon was just considered the god, the father of all other monsters. Because for his brief time, he just bam, 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 monster, 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 horrible thing, monster. That's all he did. Well, Typhoon was so flipping terrifying. When the gods took first look at him, it wasn't, oh, hey, we've defeated this, we can band together, we can fight this. No. Most of them hightailed it, turned tail between legs, and ran. Pretty much leaving a few left, mainly Zeus, to deal with this mofo. This crazy, crazy mofo. There's actually, I believe, a part of the legend how the Greeks explained the Egyptian deities was that when Typhoon showed up, the Greek gods ran to Egypt to hide, and then put on animal heads, hoping that Typhoon wouldn't notice.
Some sort of witness protection.
Basically. Hey, should we stay and fight? No, let's run away and put this jackal head on my head and pray it doesn't come and eat me. So, you've got Zeus, and again, with this Clash of the Titans and all those movies, no. It needs to be Clash of Zeus and Typhoon. This battle was horrendous. It went on. It was all said and done. I think Typhoon cut out Zeus's sinews in his foot. Somebody, I believe, Pan and Apollo had to try and fix him last minute. It was just a train wreck of a battle. It finally ended, and I say that not very sure. Zeus had to pick up an entire flipping mountain and drop it on Typhoon. The part is, that didn't even kill him. Supposedly to this day, I believe it's Mount Etna, still has Typhoon living under it. Now he's squished, and apparently anytime there's an earthquake, that's him, shifting or shaking an angry fist towards Olympus. But a battle with the king of the gods and getting an entire flipping mountain dropped on your head still did not kill this SOB. So he's still out there technically, so watch your backs.
I have a picture up here, a piece of pottery art. It looks like his bottom half of his body was serpents, and he had wings and pointed ears. He looks pretty terrifying.
Yeah, you'll even see a lot with...
Very Lovecraftian.
The giants in Greek mythology had, instead of a leg, it was two snake tentacles. Kind of weird. They got that from Typhoon. They were big on their giant, horrible monsters having snake limbs. And not just one.
Or many snake heads in the in the case of the Hydra.
Yeah.
You have here many...
yeah, I guess back then, one head, 2 eyes, 2 arms just wasn't fun enough. It had to be 100 of these, 1 of these, too many, too few, or just mixed and matched all over the place.
That's definitely a very primal thing to play on there. It's the less human looking it is, the more a monster it is.
Yeah. Now, again, yay, we just did this epic freaking battle. I mean, this was a step above epic to legendary. The gods come back, everybody's fine, back up on Olympus. Well, kind of. At some point, these giants come back, and they try to invade Olympus. Luckily, the Cyclops, that we've heard so much about, actually kind of helped out. I guess at this point, they were just trapped inside of a mountain. They weren't completely banished into Tartarus or back into Gaia's womb. The Cyclops, using Hephaestus's forge, built 3 really kick-ass weapons. Then ones that you will see pop up again and again and again throughout these Greek myths. Of course, the most prominent being Zeus's lightning bolts or thunderbolts. They were actually crafted by the Cyclops for him to basically pick off giants that were trying to come up to Olympus. The second was, again, very popular and that you all know of, Poseidon's Triton. That was forged by the Cyclopses. And then the kind of lesser known, Hades, helmet of invisibility. Yeah, so the other two, his brothers got cool, kick-ass weaponry. He got a helmet that made him invisible.
I'd probably go for the helmet of invisibility.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool and all, but...
any weapon's deadly when no one can see you.
True. Well, I'll give you that, but I really want to shoot lightning bolts and make tidal waves and destroy nations.
You do that, and I'll stab them with my invisibility.
All right, I like this.
And
Teamwork.
I'll be way better.
So, finally, we've got the weapons to get rid of the giants. At this point in the game, Gaia's pretty much out of things to do. The gods, they're finally getting settled in. Every day was a freaking adventure for them. This is at the point where they're getting established, and now they can kind of do their own thing. Where every day, like the early version, these myths with getting the 12 gods set up, was like this epic battle, Clash of the Titans. And then now we go to more of your reality TV / sitcom phase for the gods. They might have done... stage. Yeah, they may have done better keeping up with destroying monsters and getting attacked, because the drama that's about to ensue... good lord. So yeah, that leaves us with the 12 Olympians up in Olympus. They've got their weapons, they've got their family established. Typhoon at one point had a wife, Echidna, the mother of all monsters, who they also kept alive, and between her and Typhoon, they produced a lot of the monsters that you'll see again in later myths. I believe the Hydra, the Linden Worm, even Hades' dog, Cerberus. A lot of these monsters, and it was said that they were kept alive to produce these monsters to challenge future heroes. To be something that the gods can go, hey, let's send that thing to go screw with this person. And it was a nice change, I guess, for them, that these monsters were usually directed towards them. Now they're going to use these monsters and direct them towards the humans or lesser gods or demigods.
So, on to the humans, then?
Yeah, we've got... these gods went from the epic battle of the day, whether it be giants, the titans, just random snake-legged monsters, to pretty much nothing. They're bored. So they decide, we need something to entertain ourselves. So we go back, and Zeus goes, I need somebody to create some stuff. This planet doesn't have enough stuff. He actually gets Prometheus and Epimetheus, two brothers who are actually titans. You will find out as we go along. Not all of the titans were complete and utter douchebags. Most of them were, but not all of them. Prometheus was actually one of the nicest dudes ever. Like, this guy just always has his back. He's just that friend that's always there in a fight, in any situation, whatever.
He's the kind of person that you definitely want as your bestie.
Yeah, definitely.
Your zombie apocalypse friend.
So, Zeus decides, you guys were okay. I'm not going to banish you. Instead, it's up to you to create stuff. Create living things. So Epimetheus decides he's kind of he's the little more, just kind of go at it of the two brothers. He just starts molding shit and making funny looking things and comes up with wings and claws and all this kind of stuff. Where Prometheus is a little more tactful, he decides he wants to make something in the image of the gods, something that walks upright. So there he is, he's there really meticulously, taking his time, making this thing. And before he's even finished with his one creature, he looks over and his brother's got a stack of bizarre looking animals and shit. And
like axolotls and hagfish and shit.
Yeah, platypus. I mean, Prometheus is like, really, dude? Really? Quality versus quantity, but, Now, here's the other kicker. They basically had a pool of abilities to pick from. claws, flight, breathing underwater, maybe some cool ones like bombardier beetle, shoot fire out your asshole, poison barbed, making webs, all these cool abilities. And again, he finished first, so he's tacking them onto all these animals. By the time Prometheus gets finished with his one thing, he goes back in the bucket of cool mutant powers of the animal kingdom. There ain't nothing left.
Not even hagfish slime.
Yeah, debatable. Children.
That's a good point, yeah.
Children are born with the hagfish gene. Trust me. They finally lose it in, like, the preteen... No, maybe it's later.
I know some people who are older than me who still have it. So...
In some cases, the hagfish gene does not go dormant. Thanks, Epimetheus. So, poor Prometheus, he made this really cool, like, great, this looks awesome. But it has no powers. Now what? Well, again, Prometheus is a little... Some people kind of consider him a trickster. I'm not so keen on that. I just think he's
He's cunning.
He's cunning, intelligent, and
he's
wants
shrewd
to do
and
good.
crafty.
Crafty, cunning. I like those more than a trickster.
Didn't Zeus originally want the humans to just stay laughable and pathetic?
Well, yeah, Zeus at this point was fine with this. Well, Prometheus decides they need something. So I believe he steals some wisdom from Athena. Puts that in him. But the kicker is he steals fire. Now at this point, fire is for the gods and for the gods only.
And bombardier beetles.
Yeah, because they could just shoot right at him. So he steals this, gives this to the humans. Which, now they're smarter than the rest of the animals. Debatable sometimes. And now they have harnessed fire. And with fire, you've now got cooking, you've got building materials, and you've got weapons. Forging, metallurgy, just all this awesome stuff that these creatures now have. Now, Zeus isn't all that keen on this at this point, because now he's a little worried. Hey, you just stole fire, and what are these things going to do now? So, he decides he's going to punish both brothers, just everybody, because we'll talk about this in later episodes. Zeus and the gods love just ridiculous, undeserved punishments. And this is one of the first times you'll see this come in. So, he lets the humans live. He goes, you know what? Fine. This might prove entertaining. We can screw with them, as you'll find out every myth from here on out. So, he lets us live. Great.
So that he can screw with and screw us left and right.
Yes, and sometimes at the same time.
And then we can get punished for getting screwed by him.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a whole podcast. Jeez,
so,
Spidey.
Later we'll get into that.
So he decides, alright, I'm going to just punish Prometheus. You made this thing. You stole the fire. So what's he do? Chains him to a freaking mountainside. And has, I believe, an eagle come.
Some artwork shows a vulture, but...
Yeah, there's discrepancy on that.
Then again, this is... A lot of artists back then kind of took a lot of liberties.
We'll look into it and get back at you.
It is definitely supposed to be an eagle.
So this eagle comes, eats his liver. Now you're thinking, alright, you only got one liver, punishment over. Nope! Zeus's punishment is, your freaking liver's gonna grow back once a day, and this bird, who's got a craving for liver, is going to come back every night and eat your freaking liver. Said liver that just grew back. And this is the process over and over. Prometheus has liver, bird goes, I's gonna eats it. And this just goes on for quite some time until I believe it's Heracles comes and rescues him. Again, that'll come later. So that's his punishment. But he also decides, you know what? Fine, I'll let the humans live, but this whole them thinking they're better than everybody else, I'm gonna punish them too. So goes to Hephaestus. Goes, I need you to make me something. And Hephaestus, being the ugly one that no one pays attention to, just like, yay! Any attention's better than no attention! I'll do it, I'll build you whatever. Zeus goes, build me a pretty lady. And Hephaestus just goes, okay.
Because he can build anything.
Yeah. So now we've got Pandora. So, Zeus sends Pandora, marries to Epidemius. Fine, great. But she also comes with a box. And it's full of horrible things. All of the blights of man, horror, fear, greed, all that happy horse shit. And of course, as you probably know, she opens a box, these things are let loose, and now this great humankind that Prometheus had created is now just constantly screwed with. But, again, Zeus isn't all bad. He left this tiny little spirit, this tiny little thing called Hope, that popped out at the end and was sitting in the bottom of the box. So, basically, this sets up where the humans came from, like so many mythologies will, but also where the bad came from, and he's keeping us around basically for his sheer entertainment, for his reality TV show. You're allowed to live, we'll give you some power, but I'm going to throw all this crap at you, constantly, just in life in general, and then me personally and my family will screw with you hardcore. And that's entertainment on Olympus.
So, next time we'll be covering pretty much the days of their lives, all of their little funny stories.
Yeah, the Real Housewives of Olympus at this point. Like I said, this episode we tried to cover the starting, the epic battles, and now it gets into the board has been set. We've got the 12 Olympians, we've got everybody where they need to be for the Earth and Olympus back and forth drama to ensue. And that's what we will be finding some of our favorite myths, the most bizarre myths we can find, and just topics that kind of sum up the meat of the Greek mythology.
Aesop's fables?
Oh, I'm sure. There's just so much.
They were my favorites.
We'll be sure to put them in too.
So, until next time. This has been Myth Represented, recorded in a basement with little to no audio skill or decent equipment. Please tune in next time, and every time. Thank you.